I'm Jeff Hunt. He's Bill Thorpe. It's Wednesday.
Someone on the text line says we have How Tinder in the U.S.
Oh, not for what you think it might be.
I'm afraid to Google it.
Yeah,
I don't want that in my search history. I'm really afraid.
Just to set up other breeding operations.
One hopes, yes.
Let's go to the phone lines. Iggy, Denver. Good morning, Iggy. You're on with Jeff and Bill.
Morning.
Good afternoon. Afternoon. Good morning, guys. I've been dealing with this for quite some time, and quite involved. In fact, I even do groups of people that do have families with problems like this, and individuals as well who have problems. So currently I have a daughter, and we've been dealing with this for a number of years, who she's attacked her mother about 3 times or more. One time she almost, my ex-wife almost lost her eye over it, and we actually had quite a bit of success through the criminal justice system.
That's interesting, because that becomes the point of help. We're talking Rob Reiner, Nick Reiner, Rob's wife, the stabbing death that took place. And the question we raised is, at what point do you need to step in to defend your family and treat a member of your own family as a hostile threat as a result of either a mental health issue or a drug issue or maybe a combination of both, and law enforcement becomes a form of compassion? Go ahead, Iggy.
Well, that's a pretty complicated thing, especially for just like a segment, so I can't get into it too much. But what I do want to do, let's back up a little bit. It's useful to call mental illness because you're trying to treat it and there are drugs available. But let's, for the sake of my phone call it a mental process. Okay, so your brain is controlled by hormones and chemicals, right? And it's a process. It's not the same necessarily every day, nor does medication necessarily treat it. Sometimes you have to go through who knows how many drugs to try to find the right set to work. And sometimes it doesn't work at all. Okay. And then we have to talk about boundaries, right? To each individual, I can't go and tell you what your boundaries are. Okay. Because you have to enforce those boundaries. If I tell you a boundary that you need to do, you might not necessarily be able to do it. So you got to figure out what you're able to enforce. Okay. This is not, and so that's where we come, because we're all people. We love our children, or we love our husbands, or we love, whoever else is in our family, and it's just heartbreaking. And to do these boundaries, and sometimes you don't realize how much your own safety is involved in it.
Wow.
So,
that's such a powerful story.
Hard.
And Iggy sharing his perspective with his daughter and the challenges that they face. Iggy, last question for you, and then we got to get to news. But, you talk about boundaries and where your daughter is. I think, candidly, having a daughter that's homeless scares me a lot more than having a son, just knowing what happens to women out there. How do you process?
Very much so.
How do you process that?
Well, I believe in prayer, and I give it up to God. And not everybody can do that or believes that, because a lot of these people, if you pull yourself out of it, where you release them and go, they figure it out for the most part. They get on the street, yes, and homeless people, they figure it out. It's not like you're setting them out with that they're going to immediately die or freeze to death or something like that. They definitely have. There's 98% have a survival skill, and they figure it out. And sometimes that helps them figure out that they need to take their meds or whatever. Like I said, it's a lot bigger conversations than just a segment. So I don't want to go too far down.
Iggy, very powerful. I sure appreciate you. Always listening. We love you on the text messages. Thank you for calling in to share your perspective as well. Coming up after news and comment with Blake Olson, 6 women targeted by serial Denver rapist are now suing Hinge and Tinder, claiming that they were warned about this guy in Colorado that was date raping women and continued to allow him to create accounts. This is a wild story. We're going to talk with the attorneys directly involved in the case.
If you're dating, if you have someone dating, you have someone in your life that might start dating, this is a must listen as far as what those companies currently do and do not do. Are you as safe in that social media space as you think you are?
Let's now go to the news.
Blake Olson.
Blake Olson, news and comment.
Good Wednesday morning, 38 and partly cloudy in Denver, expecting a high of 65 today with plenty of wind. News sponsored by Pastor Camp Heating and Air Conditioning at 303-777-1234 to learn more about special savings opportunities on Lennox equipment. Our top story, Xcel Energy says fewer customers should lose power today due to those high winds. The utility now says that about 52,000 customers could be affected if the company is forced to shut off power as a safety precaution.
Due to the fact of knowing that fire season isn't just during the summer anymore and is year-round, we as residents need to make sure that we are diligent and vigilant on trying to prepare ourselves in the community for the potential.
Xcel expects the biggest impacts in Jefferson, Boulder, Clear Creek, Larimer, and Weld counties. There are school districts that are closed today on the Front Range because of fear of no electricity and power. Kids are not singing "Let It Snow, Let It Snow, Let It Snow," but "Let it blow, let it blow, let it blow," as school is out. Wahoo! And I can tell you firsthand, they're very excited about that. DJT will address the nation from the White House tonight. 47 said that he'll deliver an address at 7 tonight, Mountain Time, but didn't say what it would be about. Before the address, the president will be at Dover Air Force Base in Delaware for the dignified transfer of 2 U.S. soldiers who were recently killed in Syria. The first court appearance for the son of director Rob Reiner has been postponed. Police are accusing Nick Reiner of the stabbing murder of his parents. He was expected in court Tuesday but was not medically cleared. Drugs and alcohol can destroy you and everyone you love. Another example. The FBI and Rhode Island police releasing more information in their search for the Brown University terrorist. An FBI video timeline shows him before and after the murders of 2 people. Jesse Waters.
So was this guy a student? Did he have access to the building? Is he an international student? How many international students do they have at Brown University? It's been a very thorny issue, the issue of the Palestinian situation. There's been a lot of action, a lot of protests at Brown University. Does that concern them? Is there an international angle that they're concerned about? Still don't know about that. How about the one reporter who asks, well, we talked to a bunch of the residents and businesses that are a block away, and they say the cops never came to ask them for the Ring camera videos until this morning. So 4 days later, we're still not really flooding the zone. We're not.
Wow. One of the terrorists accused of murdering 15 people in the Australian terror attack will face murder and terrorism charges. One of the suspects was shot to death, and police say the other suspect just woke up from a coma on Tuesday. He'll be charged with murder, committing a terrorist act, and dozens of other charges. Candace Owens talked about her in-person meeting with Erica 2 days ago. Great meeting, cooled tensions a lot. Both learned some things that the other didn't know. They're just trying to get to the truth. And Candace says that she'll keep investigating despite the attacks on her. Someone said she was yucking it up with Turning Point employees at Tucker's Christmas party a few weeks ago. She denied that.
That's what I mean. It's like the attacks are just every second of every day accusing me of something. And the implication there was like I was like sitting on the side laughing and enjoying a beer with Terrell Farnsworth and Tyler Boyer. I am sure, because Tucker obviously has a good relationship with them, that there were some Turning Point USA employees. I didn't speak to them. To my knowledge. I did not speak to them. So I actually responded and I said to the person, why don't you publish who you're talking about? You don't have to, like, everyone's like beating around the bush. Like, I can't say what I know about her security. Say it, because you're lying. Okay. If you say you know something about how I'm actually secretly laughing with Turning Point USA, speak plainly. I have nothing to hide. I am not the person who's playing any games right now. So.
All right. And I'll have another report for you tomorrow. And maybe this morning, later. Avs at Seattle last night.
McCarr for McKinnon, a one-timer wide off the end boards. They score! Brock Nelson capitalizing on a loose puck. Colorado with a breakthrough on their power play. And the Avalanche lead 4-3.
And they go on to win it 5-3. The Avs are 24-2-7. Missouri head football coach Eli Drinkwitz on college football tampering everywhere, going to ruin the game.
Tampering is at, the highest levels. There is no such thing as tampering. It's just because there's nobody that's been punished for tampering. And so everybody on my roster is being called. I had a dad call me and say that, and I called the head coaches at their schools, that this school and this school and this school called, and they are offering this much money. And, it's you're putting a lot of pressure on young men. We're paying them as 1099 employees.
They're going to have to figure out something. Someone has to do something soon. It is wild out there in college football. Broncos return to the practice field today as they prepare for the Jags this weekend and going for yet another victory. What a season for the Denver Broncos. 35 in Broomfield, 36 in Arvada, 38 in Denver. You're waking up with Jeff and Bill. Blake Olson, News Talk 710 KNUS.
As a Pacific storm system in front coming out of the Pacific Northwest rapidly moves into Colorado today, generally light winds to start the day will ramp up this afternoon, and conditions will get quite windy this afternoon, this evening, and overnight into early Thursday, especially along I-25 and west. Do be ready for that. Highs today will be mild, mid to upper 60s. Then the wind up to 50 miles an hour in gusts. Higher gusts in those foothill areas. There will be a small chance of a rain or snow shower this evening and overnight. Colder tonight, a low near 30. Meteorologist Don Day in the 710 KNUS Weather Center.
Yeah, this is the Voices with Santa Claus Boogie. This is when you start getting the rock and roll influence into the Christmas carols. So they're trying to do it. Jingle Bell Rock is the first rock-oriented Christmas carol. After having success there, people decided maybe, and there's a few of these. In fact, the Tractors have a wonderful version of this song if you check it out there. But yeah, nice. That's about it. Yeah.
There you go. All right. Wild story, headline in the Denver Post, 6 women targeted by serial Denver rapist, now suing Hinge and Tinder, alleging that the company, it's run by Match, knew that this guy was a problem. This doctor, if you remember, he was a date rapist. He had been reported, Dr. Stephen Matthews had been reported to Match about these problems, and the company continued to allow him to create accounts, not hiding, but using the same name and profile.
That's crazy.
Picture, which is crazy. And there's a team of law firms that are getting together in order to take this case on. And we're honored to have joining us this morning Greg Bentley, an attorney with Dormer Harping. Harp Breen, to give us some insight on this case. Greg, thank you for joining the Jeff and Bill Show.
Yes, good morning.
Hey, good morning, guys. Thanks for having me.
Well, let's talk about the facts of this case. Dr. Stephen Miller has been convicted. He's going to 35 felony counts of assault and sexual assault, sentenced to 158 years. So the criminal trial has gone through, but you guys are now engaging on the civil side, saying that Match knew about all this. But give us a sense of the facts of the case, and then who your clients are and what you're hoping to achieve with this.
Yeah, of course. So luckily this guy got convicted and he's behind bars, and no other women are going to be victimized by him. This all started in September of 2020 when the information we have is it started as early as September 2020. One of the victims went on a date with Dr. Matthews and was assaulted, and the next day she immediately reported it to Match. And that should have been the end of the case. They should have taken him off the platform and should have prevented him from having access to any other women. But unfortunately, he was able to create more accounts and stay on the system and continue assaulting other women for at least 3 more years. So we represent 6 victims collectively, the group that I'm working with, 6 victims that these platforms allowed Matthews access to after he should have been removed.
And Dr. Stephen Matthews, what was he a doctor of? Was he an anesthesiologist, if I remember correctly, or something? I imagine some job that was pretty appealing to women.
He was marketed as an eligible bachelor on the systems, and everyone that went out with him thought he was a good catch. I believe he was a cardiologist at a Denver hospital, I think in Lakewood.
Good night. A cardiologist. Yeah, that's going to jump out. I mean, he's the type of guy with a job that's appealing to women. So you can see how he's set up to be a predator and get these women in. And then from the article, he would drug them when they went out, and he would give them the date rape drug. They would then kind of stumble home, not remember anything, wake up the next day and be confused as to what had happened. And this happened over and over again with at least 6 women in Denver. Is that right?
Yeah, that's correct. Unfortunately, it's more than 6. The criminal case, he was convicted of assaulting 11 women. We presently represent 6, and so there's certainly other victims out there that were affected by this. And this doctor had his platform on these, or his profile on these dating platforms, and there's this doctor in scrubs, and then the next photo is him with a cute puppy, and the next photo might be him out there hiking or snowboarding. So he just checked all the boxes for the most eligible guy in Colorado that everyone would want to go on a date with. And not only that, Match in these dating platforms have algorithms where they figure out who the best bachelors are, who the best dating partners are. And so not only were they letting him stay on there, they were affirmatively recommending him as the most eligible bachelor to these women.
Okay, we got to stop there just for a sec.
Wow.
Yeah, because that's super important.
Goodness.
That's really important because the audience of the Jeff and Bill Show understands the basic idea behind the algorithm, that if you click on that video on YouTube or you click on whatever it is, that's going to feed you more often. All of us have that experience of clicking on some random ad, and then that sweater or pair of pants follows you on your social media for like weeks. And that's the algorithm because you've shown interest. So what Greg Bentley, attorney, is telling us is that same set of mathematical equations in this scenario, because the convicted criminal was so attractive to potential women and he got so many views, the algorithm then would feed him to more women.
Feeding the predator to women.
Yes.
What?
Yeah. It's in some ways, it's an inelegant analogy, but in some ways, it's as if these dating sites said, hey, check out this van that says free candy. It's got the best candy. You'll love what's inside in many ways. Yeah, it's scary. That is scary.
Yeah. I think it lured in the women and, made them more receptive to going out on a date with them and lowered their guard. I haven't used Hinge, obviously, but I understand that they have a classification that they labeled him and other people as most compatible. So, there's a lot of people on these platforms and it's hard to differentiate. And so I guess these platforms will give some people a short list of here's the best people you should look at, and they would put this guy in the short list to help him get dates, which is frankly shocking after they received notice that he was date raping women.
I'm almost speechless, guys. This is so egregious. I hope you guys win big, but let's get into the case itself. This is Greg Bentley. He's an attorney with Dormer Harpering. They're one of the firms. There's, I think, about 5 of you all that have teamed up to represent the 6 women that are suing Match. Okay, so you said that Match was, from your research, notified in early 2020 that this guy was a problem. Can you tell us a little bit about how they were notified, what systems they may have had in place to try to prevent this? Because I imagine that they're not just allowing anybody to create a profile. I mean, I don't know, maybe Charlie Manson had a profile on Hinge, but I imagine that there's some guidance that they've put in. Talk us through what you're learning about what Match knew, when they knew, and if they did anything to try to address this problem.
Okay, and this is reported in the criminal case. When the story broke, some of these victims, I think, were part of those original reports that took it to the media. But it's my understanding that on September 28th of 2020, one of the victims went on a date with him, had like one drink. Her memory kind of stops, and the next day she goes and reports the assault, and she sends an email directly to Match or Hinge or whoever the reporting feature is. According to the user agreement, says, hey, there's someone dangerous out there. He got me. Protect other women. Take him off. And they respond that they received her notice, and they confirmed that they're taking him off the system. So it seems like their processes and procedures were working at that point. A couple months later, she gets recommended to this guy again. She logs on, and it's like, here's the most compatible person for you, and it's the same guy she had reported months before, which obviously that upset her, and she reported him again to Match. And unfortunately, years later, the guy's still on there assaulting women.
Wow.
Wow, jeez.
And what are you guys seeking with regards to restitution at this point? I'm sorry, but I think hearing from you, Greg, that there should be criminal charges brought to Match, but you guys are now in the civil side of things. What are you hoping to achieve? What would restitution and justice look like for the women that were targeted by this serial Denver rapist?
Yeah, of course, we can't turn back time, so our civil system only lets us seek financial justice for harms and wrongs that were done. And we seek whatever full justice a jury would determine that is. We're open to talking with them, but in addition to that, we want systemic changes. We don't want this to ever happen again. We want them to, when they get notice of somebody, they've got to keep them off their platforms. And it's not just Hinge. Match owns these different dating platforms, and the predators are allowed to hop between their platforms. So they should certainly be sharing that information across platforms. If you get notified on one system, they should investigate and keep you off that system if it's credible. And they certainly shouldn't let you go to the other platforms. Another thing they should do is, if they're unable to affect these bans and protect people, they should tell women that. Women should know that there's a problem out there so they can take safeguards to protect themselves. They certainly shouldn't be told that, hey, we protect your safety, we're keeping dangerous people off here. So that's kind of in the vein of, we want to protect from this happening again. So we want those changes. We want accountability. We want, the dating platform industry to protect women and people and men, everyone that are out there. Online dating has become so prevalent. It's such a huge part of society now that we really need to take, affirmative steps to prevent this from happening. This is just so egregious.
And Match is huge, by the way. You ready for this, Bill? $7.61 billion is their market capitalization.
Wow.
$7.6 billion. They own Tinder, Match.com, Meetic, OkCupid, Hinge, Plenty of Fish, Our Time, and other dating global brands. They are massive. Greg, what are you hearing from Match? Are they going to settle this case? Are they going to take it to trial? What are you anticipating here?
Well, we just filed suit yesterday, so we haven't heard anything from them. I don't think they've put out any type of release yet, but they're certainly aware of this case. It's been in the media with the criminal case, for several years. So anticipate they'll have something to say soon. And we hope they do the right thing and fix the systems and prevent this. That'd be the most important first step, is to stop anybody else from being victimized.
Well, and I appreciate you guys getting the word out on this as well. You have a website where people can learn more, called matchgrouplawsuit.com, matchgrouplawsuit.com. So are you focused specifically on this case and this doctor, or would this be a class action? For instance, maybe other people that have been hurt by somebody else, they tried to report it. They want to see maybe if Match knew that this person was a threat. Could this become a class action, or is it just restricted entirely to this particular case?
Currently, we're restricted to this case. We're certainly open to helping people that have been wronged out there, however that is. I don't see this as being a viable class action. I do have experience doing class actions, and generally you have to have, pretty common injuries. And here, in personal injury, it's difficult to have a class action for personal injuries, and just everyone's affected so differently. And so it would be difficult for a court to say, all right, everybody that this happened to, here's exactly your harms, and here's a fair compensation for that. We don't think that'd be appropriate, and the courts probably would agree that that's not appropriate for a class action. So this is more like a mass action, where there's a collection of cases together that share some of the same facts, but they're still different. They're individualized.
Well, if you were harmed by Dr. Stephen Matthews, who's now in prison, thank God, for a long time, 158 years, he's never going to see the light of day. If you were harmed by Dr. Stephen Matthews, go to the website matchgrouplawsuit.com to learn more, matchgrouplawsuit.com. But Greg, I'm so glad that you're going to get justice for these women. I think that this was wildly egregious. The fact that Match not only knew this guy was a threat, but then via their algorithm fed him as a potential mate and suitor to women, in my mind, set them up for horrible violations that took place by this guy. They absolutely should be held accountable. I hope you guys get justice. I hope these women get a big settlement. And in part, this changes things for a lot of these dating apps that need to step up and make sure they're protecting the rights and safety of their users. Greg, thank you so much for what you're doing. Thank you for taking time to join us this morning.
Thanks a lot.
Thanks, guys. I appreciate being on.
All right. Again, the website, if you want to learn more, matchgrouplawsuit.com, matchgrouplawsuit.com.
That's crazy.
Bill, I was like right at the beginning of online dating.
Oh, yeah.
When eHarmony was big, right? It was like the Christian dating thing. So I did eHarmony. I got bored because I had to write essays in order to win the girls' affections. It was hilarious.
That's really funny.
So it was one of those things where, like, if you wanted to connect with a girl, you had to fill out 5 paragraphs worth of questions about, and it's probably a good. What I tell our kids and most people is, I'm like, find somebody at church. Find somebody at church. They share your values. They're committed to the Lord. They're going to help raise your kids with the same value set you have. But I understand it's not always easy. So I'm not a big fan of online dating. I don't know. It's just a product of the society.
Yeah, I think it's just a product of where we're at. I don't think it goes back. I was not part of that world. I had settled down by the time that became something that was normal. And I've always told my kids that rather than going out and searching for romance, go find friends and commonalities and see what happens, see what the exploration is, and see how the relationship grows. Because what I worry about with some of those online dating apps is it's both a negative and a positive, to where, hey, we are going to connect and talk for this singular purpose. And it's almost like a series of technological blind dates. And there's just some artificial pressure there, when other times you would be out at restaurant, club, bar, church, park, social gathering, and you would just start talking to someone and figure out if there's anything there. I know you and I have talked, Jeff, that in college you were the king of the coffee date, because there was no pressure, but it was a conversation to see if there was anything worth exploring. And that meant even just base level, are we interested in the same things?
Correct.
Not, do I want to stick my tongue in your mouth? Just the idea of, do we listen to the same music? Do we have the same values? Do we like the same things? Could we actually sit down on a Saturday night on the couch and agree on something to watch? Those type of things are more of a priority first.
Yeah, the best dating advice I ever heard, and it's absolutely 100% accurate, is marry the person that you could be stuck in an airport with for 8 hours.
Oh, absolutely. Yes.
Because that's actually what life is.
Yes.
Right? It is really boring, monotonous things like driving kids to school, figuring out what you're going to eat for dinner tonight, paying the electric bill, and if you can find somebody that you can do just life with, like the boring stuff, and build a team together with and tackle these problems, that's more accurate depiction of what a healthy marriage is than infatuation with physical attraction. It's just like life is just hard and it's boring, and you need to be with somebody you can go through that stuff with.
Yeah, it is a partnership. It is a partnership, and it's something you've got to be willing to go through together.
Bill, you and I disagree a lot on policy stuff, but we both married people that we could build teams with, a family with.
Oh, yeah.
Like, I think the world of Angela. She's an amazing person.
That is so kind.
And same with Nicole, as you just go.
So incredible.
These are people that that you can build a framework with, tackle the challenges of life with, and yes, they're very attractive people, but there's so much more than that. So
we've all known attractive people that were only an inch deep, and you're like, oh, there's nothing here, or you're just an awful person. I've told the story to you before on the air, Jeff, and off the air. There was a girl that I had chased late in high school for several months. I'd gone out dating other people, etc. But I wanted to date this one girl, and finally she said yes. And it's 5 minutes into dinner, and I'm like, this sucks. I don't know why I wasted my time chasing you this long.
Yes.
There's nothing here. And it was nice. We were friends and were for a number of years of, not talking or anything anymore. It's been, over 2 decades. But nice enough, just there was nothing there. There was no there. Yeah.
Would love to hear from you all about this and what was particularly good dating advice you got. Here's one from Mountain Peak Air. That's a really good one. When you're young, run after God as hard as you can. And if you find someone that can keep up, be sure to introduce yourself.
Oh, that's nice. That's a nice way to look at it.
My dating advice to kids is find them in college, find them in church. The online stuff, I just think is so fake. Like, it's just, I don't know. I'm not a fan of it. It seems like people aren't being honest. And then I heard all these horror stories of you show up at the coffee date or at the dinner date, they don't look like anything in their picture.
Yeah.
You're just stuck like, why'd you lie to me? And so
why are we
you're
doing
starting the whole relationship off on a lie.
Yeah, this isn't exactly what we're talking about at all. I always tell the kids that when they're dating someone, if there are certain things or behaviors about that person that annoys you or you find a little bit annoying, don't look at the idea that you're going to change it. Look at it as they're going to do that every day for the rest of their life. If one day you're going to wake up and have to kill them, that's not the right person. That's the easiest test.
That's great. Give us a call. Join the conversation. 303-696-1971. Text us on the Dan Caplos Law text line 720-819-5115. You know where there's another great place to meet a spouse?
Where?
The gun room.
Ooh, there we go.
Go to the gun shop. You're automatically on the same page values-wise.
Yes, exactly.
All right. Wayne at the gun shop, absolutely fantastic. Loved getting to meet this guy, man. A tremendous faith. Loves God. Loves this country. Is building a gun shop that respects that, values the sanctity of life, and respectful of laws, and wants to empower you to be able to defend yourself and your family. Go check out the Gun Room in Lakewood. They're one of Colorado's oldest gun shops. They are friendly. They're patient. They will help you through questions you may have. So if you're kind of new to owning a personal firearm to defend yourself, they're happy to answer all your questions. And if you're looking for a gift this Christmas and it's getting late, this is a perfect solution for you. get a Gunroom gift card. Believe me, whether it's your spouse or your fellow outdoors person or whatever it might be, get them a gift card to the Gunroom. It's a home run. Trust me on this one. Stop in, browse their selection of new and used firearms, or just ask a few questions. They love helping people. Give them a call. They'll pick up the phone. Here it is, 303-237-1300, 303-237-1300. It's the Gunroom in Lakewood. Check them out at denvergunroom.com, denvergunroom.com. We'll continue with your phone calls and texts. And do you think Match, the group that platform this predator, deserves to pay up big? I do. Give us a call.
Yeah.
You're listening to The Jeff and Bill Show.
This is Denver's Talk Leader, News Talk 710 KNUS. Ah, yes. The classic holiday marketing campaign. Yeah, Rudolph was created for coloring books. Montgomery.
It was created for a coloring book?
Yeah, Rudolph is 110% a marketing campaign. Yep, he's to get mom and dad to spend more money. Yeah. Okay, well, jump in the Wayback Machine. The year is 1939. For the previous years, Montgomery Wards has been handing out coloring books to kids for free when mom and dad come into the store as an enticement to get mom and dad to shop. Well, they get a little tired. They're counting the money going, we're paying someone to create a coloring book. They decide to make their own. A copywriter at Montgomery Wards comes up with a story of Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer. And they give away almost 2.5 million coloring books that holiday season.
Dude, you got to appreciate creativity like that, because who in the right mind is just like, the reindeer? Because did Santa have reindeers prior to Rudolph?
Yep,
okay,
Rudolph,
so he
had the 8 reindeer before, and their names actually changed over the course of time. The only one that's really still extant is Comet, who, if you remember the stop-action animated film, is Fireball, is the only alternate name. That is the son of Comet in the stop-action Bass and Rankin film. But there were a whole bunch of other names that were used on and off for the reindeer before settling on the ones that we know. But yeah, they all existed beforehand, and then he creates Rudolph.
A reindeer with a nose that glows. What?
Yeah. And the crazy thing, okay, this is how deep I can go.
Did they ever explain why he chose that?
Well, there's a couple of things, not really at the time, and there were some questions about it. Well, early on they were worried about it because the red nose was viewed as alcoholism. So there was a real kind of push against how they were going to be doing with this, but reindeer noses actually do get red. When it gets really, really cold, as the blood flow increases, and they have a ton of capillaries in their nose because it's so important for their lifestyle and finding food.
Did he know that?
No, he didn't know that.
It's just one of those
they don't
things.
Glow.
Yeah,
but he didn't. Now, here's a really crazy thing. The guy that writes the original Rudolph the Red-Nosed the Reindeer story for Montgomery Wards, it's his brother-in-law that writes the song. Yeah,
that's awesome.
His brother-in-law. So think about that connection. So the song that we just heard is written by the brother-in-law of the dude that wrote the original coloring book for Montgomery Wards just to get mom and dad to spend more money. Yeah, it's a marketing campaign.
Gabe texted in, I love Williams history lessons.
As my wife says, talking about relationships, my wife says, you are a fountain of useless knowledge. And I'm like, I apprite that. That is
she
true.
loves it.
Yep,
she would like to be in an airport with you stuck for 8 hours.
Yeah, because I could say, do you know this was... I've got stuff for 9 hours, 8 hours.
We're talking Denver Post headlines. 6 women targeted by serial Denver rapist are now suing Hinge and Tinder. What they're alleging is that Match Group, which owns all those companies, as a market capitalization of $7.6 billion. Big company, okay? Had been reported that this doctor, this cardiologist named Dr. Stephen Matthews, was date raping people, that these victims were reporting it to Match. Match acknowledged receipt, said his profile was taken down, then not only allowed him to get back on, but the way the algorithm worked, fed this guy, who was a cardiologist who loved puppies and hiking, to as many women as they could because he was a choice selection, unlike a radio host with their
yes
profiles.
Yeah.
But this guy was a choice. So basically, Match is culpable for the assaults that took place because they allowed the guy with the same name, same profile picture to recreate. And then in one case, this woman had been assaulted, reported it to Match. A few years later, they feed the same guy back to her.
Yeah, and the scary part is same name, same pictures. And you've got to figure there isn't something on the back end of security where you would put up a red flag for a review of either a name or a name in a geographic location or even an image type of a search. There should have been, you would assume, on the back end, some sort of a personal, and by that I mean an individual review process of stuff that is red flagged. And the fact that this person was removed and then got back on with the same name and same pictures shows in some ways they weren't even looking. That's scary.
Do you even really believe online dating can work anymore? Some folks texting in that all they do on dating sites is lie. Jacqueline, no one tells the truth on dating sites. So is it worth it? Look, when I worked at CCU, it was like, what was it, like 70 to 30 girls to guys there. And I would tell the guys, I'm like, you will never in your life be around this many Christian women.
Yeah.
Like, this is an angel factory, dude. So wake up, recognize the opportunity, and take advantage of it. And then we saw this statistic that 45% of Gen Alpha, I think, or Gen Z, one of the two, has never asked a girl out in real life in person.
Yeah.
Setting yourselves up for failure.
And that, to me, is also, it's a necessary skill. Just like joining the team and losing. You need to understand how difficult it is to put yourself out there, but then also to have that conversation to ask and know the risk and reward. Sometimes there is some reward and sometimes there isn't. But that's the entire reason that if you're going to join that Little League team, you put on the uniform in the first place. You're not going to put on that uniform only under the conditions that all you can do is win. Part of it is you understand that there's a loss that can come in there. So same thing. It's a part of growing up and just being a functioning adult in many ways.
Exactly right. Well, join the conversation. Would love to hear from you. 303-696-1971. Text us on the Dan Campbell Law text line 720-819-5115. Let's talk advanced hair restoration. Guys, if you're losing your hair and desire to have it back, then Advanced Hair Restoration has the easiest guaranteed solution. Their simple one-day treatment offers life-changing results. I've seen it with my own eyes. It's not magic, but close to it. They put hair where you need it the most, and bam, it grows. It's actually science. Advanced Hair has it all. Top-rated Dr. Tanya Paul's modern technology. And best of all, you get your own natural hair that begins regrowing the very next day. Advanced Hair will even guarantee that it will grow for life. So schedule your free consultation now at 720-459-HAIR. If you qualify, you'll get $250 off and 250 free hair grafts. Advanced Hair is the winner of Westward's Best of Denver and has changed the lives of tens of thousands of people. So don't wait. Check out the before and afters online for yourself. 720-459-HAIR. 720-459-HAIR or advancedhair.com. That's advancedhair.com. All right, we'll continue with your phone calls and texts. You're listening to the Jeff and Bill Show.
This is Denver's Talk Leader, News Talk 710, KNUS. Ooh, novelty song. This is always an interesting one because people can like this or they can hate this.
It's a little bit like our show, Bill.
Yeah, it is. It is. This was late 70s. I don't know the exact year that it was released. I believe San Francisco. I don't think it was San Diego. I'm pretty sure it's San Francisco. And got some local play and then slowly grew year after year after year. Elmo and Patsy are a real-life couple and, in fact, married at the time this song is released. But by the time it gets popular in the mid-'80s, they divorce. Elmo is actually a veterinarian and is, I think, still alive. But Patsy, even though she gets credit, doesn't sing or play a single instrument on the song. So I'm not sure why she gets credit, honestly.
I think this song terrifies the kids out there.
I don't know. It's kind of funny. It's kind of silly. I think there was even an animated special that was created out of this years and years ago. Not right away, but because it got so popular. Yeah, it's kind of one of those things that some people hate it, some people love it. But it is a real couple. I always found it interesting that the Elmo and Patsy doesn't sing, doesn't play an instrument, but is listed in the title. Alrighty then. I want that kind of credit.
Sounds like a married couple.
Yeah, it does.
Right? You better put it in there. Well, coming up next hour, I want to get into this shocking new emails released from the DOJ and the FBI showing that the FBI did not believe it had probable cause to raid President Trump's Mar-a-Lago home. Do you remember this back in 2022, 2023, when the FBI is going after Donald Trump over the classified documents, raiding Mar-a-Lago, digging through Melania's underwear drawer? Now documents revealed from the FBI show internal disagreement, frustration over a number of aspects. One, the scope of the search. Was it too broad? Did they get clarity with regards to exactly where they should be searching? Two, did they have probable cause? And what's most shocking to me in these email revelations coming from the FBI is that Trump's attorney was already working, negotiating on what types of documents. FBI saying, let's just continue to go down this path. Why are we doing this? The attorney's working with us. No, it's an election year. Joe Biden's in power. Now you get the power of the FBI to go search his political opponent's house? Yes, I think it was actually this bad. But feel free to disagree with me. We'll get into this the next hour. My goodness, was it really all this corrupt? Plus, Jack Smith before Congress today. We'll have all the latest. You're listening to The Jeff and Bill Show.
This is Denver's talk leader, News Talk 710, KNUS.